So basically what he was saying is not just about the mid-range, but from the bass. How's the bass response of the Voigt pipes? And he was not expecting much in that department. And of course, when you read about it, how can single driver reproduce bass? So most people expect that there won't be anything there, but he says, oh, how wrong I was there too. And that's my observation as well. It's just the bass is one of the strengths of the Voigt pipe. That's how I feel it. And he says, and yes, they are a bit bass light, and there are times when you wish that there was a little bit more than there, but that is more the exception than the rule. That's how I feel too. And that's, in my experience, because I've been living with my Voigt pipes for 20 years, and I listen to every music I have on them, and on other speakers as well, but whatever songs I heard them on the Voigt pipe. So I have now a pretty good impression of what I can attribute to the speaker and what I can attribute to the recording. And what I can say is that the Voigt pipes don't lie to you. If it was recorded bass light, it will be presented bass light. So you are not getting a tone control with these speakers, and if they are presenting clear music to you. And that also has a benefit, that music that was recorded with a nice level bass, it won't have overblown bass. Because generally with multi-driver speakers, what you have is that those material that on the Voigt pipe sound a bit bass light, on them they sound great, bass correct amount, but those which sound correct bass on a Voigt pipe, on a multi-driver sound bloated already. So what you can do, one, maybe like get tone controls in your preamp, and that can be, I didn't go that way. The first preamp I had with them, actually it was tremendously playful and useful to have tone controls, and then I have taken out the tone controls from the preamp. It just blew my mind how more transparent the music became. I just like layers and layers and layers more into the music, just like kind of like taking a deep dive. It's almost like kind of like you, with the tone controls in your preamp, you are on the top of a 20-floor building, and when you take out the tone controls and the balance control, loudness control, all of these I took out, and then it was kind of like seeing the world from, not from the top of a 20-floor building, but from a space station. That was my experience in the difference of perception between the two. So that's one thing, that tone controls do give you the ability to either add more bass on certain materials for the Voigt pipe, and what I noticed is that where you would want it is maybe like music recorded in the 80s, and a lot of the pop songs, because they just record them with a cut in the bass, so that when the kids play it, then the neighbors won't go crazy with all the bass around. That was how some popular songs used to be recorded back then, but like the year 2000 and then on, now we have the exact opposite problem. Everything is recorded with tons of bass, and here with more modern music they just sound really full bass on the Voigt pipe, because it is on the recording. So but if you are listening to older music, then there will be some stuff which will sound thin on a Voigt pipe. But as Derek Walton says, that is more the exception than the rule. and I can confirm it. It's more the exception than the rule. He was using the Odex driver, which was let's scroll down. This driver, it had a self-resonant frequency of 55 hertz, and it was an 8-ohm driver, and it was good up to 16 kilohertz. So the one I used, the Fostex driver, FE204, I think it had a self-resonance of 45 hertz, like 10 hertz lower than the Odex, so it indicates that that unit goes quite a bit deeper, and it was good up to, I think, not sure what was on the specification, like 18 kilohertz, but it still works at 20 kilohertz too, but 20 kilohertz is a little bit lower, but it's a lot more extended than the Odex driver in both ranges, both high and bass. And what else? So he said initially bit hard in the upper mid, but after a few weeks that harshness was gone, and that's it. Driver break in, and that you can hear that really explicitly on a single driver speaker. Driver break-in will be experienced much more pronounced than on a multi-driver speaker with a crossover, because the crossover is like a buffer zone, so it tempers the sound a lot and takes away, like negotiates the dynamics between amplifier and speaker, and it gives like a muffling effect, and you don't hear the character of the drivers as well as connecting them to your amplifier. So when you, for example, you use active crossover and you're using different amplifier for different drivers for your multiple speakers, then you will hear the drivers breaking in much better compared to having a passive crossover with inductors, capacitors, resistors, and then breaking it in with a single amplifier. And then that break-in process will be much gentler, much milder compared to an active multi-driver systems break-in. And then he says that this is how real vocals sound. That was his impression. And actually the way he described his speakers, that really spoke to me. He didn't say, oh, it has great bass or great whatever, and was obsessing on that thing, but what's the overall impact? It made you think about the music, the liveliness, and etc. And so basically his description of his pipes was what made me decide that, okay, I really want to build these. This will be a great learning experience, and he has the plans here, and that's how it is. So the damping is inside here, so it's like a soft stuffing that he put here. I also put stuffing in mine. Initially I put like dense stuffing, and then I was taking out, making it lighter and lighter and lighter, and the better it sounds to me when it's lighter. But it also depends a lot on your room. So when you put it in a room, I would suggest for you to experiment with how much damping is there in the cabinet, or maybe you can just take out all the damping. If you change your room or you change your amplifier, the amount of damping that's required inside for best sound will be different. And also put something like a wool felt. I put sheepskin there, and sheepskin, not the skin of the sheep, but it's sheepskin and wool in it. So basically a piece of the sheep's wool that I put here behind the driver, so there's no hard reflections bouncing off from the back of the driver. And down here there's no filling, and then he put in an extra piece of wood that looks like, where we go, like this, you see, like a reflector to reflect the sound outside. I also built this for mine, and he describes in the text that you can play around with the angle for best angle. I did that, and I found that when I removed this reflector, it sounded better than having the reflector inside at any angle. So that's how my version ended to be. So this thing here, I built it, I made it, tried it out, it didn't work for me. And but also he said you can fill this up with iron or sand or something like pellets or lead, whatever, to weigh it down and make it more stable. What I ended up doing was just like into the mouth of the pipe. This is the mouth of the pipe. I just put in a choke or a transformer, a nice big unit, put it in the corner in the back so it touched one of the walls and the back wall. That was my, later on, my mentor's, Stu's idea. That, yeah, let's just, just try it out, put a transformer there and touch the side wall and the back wall, and yeah, that made the sound a little bit better. But when I put this reflector in, it didn't do anything. And however, do you need that extra weight in the bass? Because this looks like really unstable, right? It's tall as like the Eiffel Tower, and it looks like skinny and whatnot. But I can tell you guys that what year? I think it was in 2006 when we had the big earthquake here. It was a 6.5 or something like that, next to Big Island, and in the city it was about a 4.5 or something like that, something between 4 and 5. And it was so bad I couldn't stand. Like it was in the morning, I felt like the whole house shake, and I thought the neighbor busted the washing machine. Like, oh my God, this is really bad. What did they do? What's happening? And I just jumped out and wanted to run out and yell at the neighbor like, hey dude, your washing machine, this is crazy. I can't sleep. I told you last week to take care of the washing machine. What are you doing? And to my huge surprise, I couldn't stand on my feet, and I just fell back on the bed like, what's going on? And then I realized when I looked at the wall, and the wall cracked, and there's an opening in my wall, like, what the heck? That there's a major earthquake going on. And you know what? My Voigt pipes, which look like these and have the same shape, but even a little taller than these, they were rock stable and solid. So even in an earthquake where I couldn't stand, and my house, the firewall cracked, and I could see through the wall to the outside, the pipes did not fall over. So if you are worrying that they might fall over, no, I never had the problem, even with a major earthquake. So that was just a little segue for you who are curious about how precarious they look like. Will they topple over? No, you will topple over before your pipes topple over. So anyway, what else do I want to say? So basically this is how I design my pipes. When we go down, these were his initial measurements that he used. I took these ratios as well and resized them for the VAS difference between my pipe and his pipe. I already published in a video my measurements. I'm not going to take them out now. You can look it up. And in the end, I'm not sure if how did I do for the port opening, I mean the mouth opening. I'm not sure if I took it exactly, or I think I did something like that. Maybe I resized it based on his, not sure. I can't recall. Or I went with my gut instinct. I think I went with my gut instinct on the exact size of the port, of the opening. And that's one of my most important lessons to you all, that do your research, get into it as deep as you can, get familiarized with all of the parameters, what they mean, what is their importance, if you change something, what will it affect, and when you are building, it happens to me all the time that when I'm cutting the material, I'm about to cut the wood, and I have an inspiration coming, and my hand stops, like I want to press the button on the saw, and it's not pressing. What's happening? And I noticed, oh, I have to rethink. Then I put down the saw and think about it, and then now it doesn't feel right. Now that I have the piece of wood in my hand, it's a very different feel compared to just looking at a plan. And you have very different ideas and inspiration coming to you when you are just looking at the drawings, looking at numbers, compared to when you have the actual wood, actual driver in your hand, and then there's additional parameters communicated to you subconsciously. And that's how I interpret inspiration. That our brain is just so much more capable device than we give credit for. Whatever you read in your life, everyone, even if your memory is bust, if you get hypnotized, you can recall everything word by word. All of us have photographic memories, and we remember everything we were subject to. And this memory, this knowledge is deep within you. And what we call as intuition is what gives you access to this kind of experience. So a lot of this happens subconsciously, and the more you are willing to open yourself up to these processes, the more you can translate it into your life. And that's part of my journey with audio gear and music, that it's a fine mesh intertwining of science, information, the ability of your brain to consciously be able to use only a fraction of that information, and how you combine the two, how you can get access to that big store of information. And that's what we call as art. Because art is the expression of self that will allow you to gain access to wider range of resources than you know consciously. And I think that's why we listen to music. That's why we enjoy sound so much, because it's a portal, it's a key for us to access layers of our knowledge or consciousness or soul or being that you normally cannot access with that consciousness that you struggle through your everydays. When we go to work, we make plans, we do calculations, and it's not there. You cannot access it. Only just that limited subset of information that you are working with every day. And whatever sticks out is left out. We cannot work with that. There's just too much information in the world, and consciously we cannot process all of it. And that's why we need art. That's why we go and go to a theater or go to a conference. Why am I thinking of conferences? Performance. The conference is different. So we go to musical performances, because that connects us to that bigger self, so that we can access more and more and more. And what I found in my audio journey, that accessing this bigger part of yourself, of your knowledge, of the subconscious knowledge, is the key to really getting huge benefits beyond what is possible when you just use your mind and you are trapped within this little brain, little consciousness, little information, little change, with a lot of money that you have to put in. And when you are able to open yourself up, then you can just make a quantum leap. But it is something that you have to access your own resources, your own knowledge, because when you do that, you also access your own deep desires and how your hearing works, what triggers your happy memories, what triggers your consciousness, your creativity, what drives you. It is totally different for each of us, and that's why there's no recipe I can give you on how to develop your speakers, or a specific formula to give, or a crossover to use, go active or go passive. There's no single response. The response is you being able to connect to yourself and find the answer in you. Listen to your subconscious, give you the answer, because your subconscious knows all what I tell you in my videos, what you hear from others, what you read in your life, has all the analysis of every sound sample you ever heard in your life, and already made a synthesis out of that. And when you can access that deep layer within you, it can give you the answer of what kind of audio system is the one that will be able to satisfy your needs. And yeah, so I think that's where we are now. And what else? I will also paste at the end of the video in the description the web archive link to this web page. I hope it will work. It gave me a really weird looking web address. I really have high hopes that if you click on it, then you will get here. And thank you for listening to this. And basically, a lot of what Derek Walton writes here was really, it had a very deep effect on me, and set me on the path that I'm currently on. And during the past 20 years, what I was doing is refining. Go back, refine, go back, refine. And for a lot of you who don't know about me, or maybe it's just a few of you, my Voigt pipes have been my #1 speakers since I built them. And after that, I had also additional speakers, but also as backup speakers to my Voigt pipe. And I think this is something very important, that when you have an audio journey and you're looking at decades, even if you have the best speakers, it's good to have something that gives you contrast. And maybe I was just audio nuts, and I always wanted to have like more several systems and compare things and hearing different aspects. And that's because there are some recordings that were really mastered to sound their best on a multi-driver speaker. That's how life works. It's kind of like if you have like your favorite dancer, then that dancer will be, phenomenal with those dance styles, those dances that he is the best at. And there will be some dances where the dancer is not that proficient, or maybe is still okay, but there are other dancers who are much better. Like if you take, let's say, an Argentine tango dancer, most Argentine tango dancers are also pretty decent salsa dancers, but like, what about zouk or whatever, bachata or whatnot, polka? And you might find like that someone else is a really good polka dancer, but they're totally clueless about Argentine tango and salsa. So there's not a single solution. Like a single dish will not contain the flavor of all dishes. Every loudspeaker you have has its own personality, and sometimes that personality just doesn't match to some music, or is not the best reflection for the qualities contained in that recording. Each loudspeaker approach delves into different aspects of sound. What the Voigt pipes delve into is the naturalness. It's the human element. And if there's no human element in that recording, then it won't sound good on a Voigt pipe, because there's nothing there that it can dig for you and connect you to. So if it's something really artificial, like recorded in a studio, mixed to hell, tons of plugins on it, it will just sound bland and lifeless. And then you might need like a 3, 4, 5-way loudspeaker with all that complexity that it has to just put back something interesting into that bland mixture. And this was just a far-fetched example. There's like, doesn't mean that if it sounds good in a multi-way speaker, it has to be bland, but just one example. You can come up with different examples. It's just something I gave to you to play around with. And that's what I noticed, that if music has life in it, or talent, because it's not like live music is God, recorded music is shite, but every single performer who's making music, musicians, there are some musicians who play like disappointing, okay, I just don't even want to hear it after 5 minutes, and other like plays the same song, but with so much life, vibrancy, that okay, this changed my life. And the other person played it, or maybe the same musician plays it, but on a different day when they're in a bad mood or in a different mood, or not in the mood, and then it's just like, you just walk by, it's like nothing. And what I noticed is that the Voigt pipes have the ability that when there's that something special in the performance, that musician is giving you that special thing, then the Voigt pipe will transmit that to you. And the multi-driver speakers do not have this ability. They cannot transmit most of that life to you. Where they are good, multi-driver speakers are good, is when the mastering engineer has done its ultimate to spice up a recording to sound really good in the studio. Then that multi-driver speaker will also sound really good. But will it be full of life? Will it be elevate your consciousness on what is it to be a human? Will you get into the head of the musician who was performing? No. But you will get into the headspace of the engineer, just the neurons, the thoughts, how he mastered it, what he did on the keyboard. But you won't get to the heart of the musician. What was the musician's intent with the music? You just have sound. I think that's my take on Voigt pipes and my experience with my Voigt pipe. So thank you for being here with this extra long session. So now that I see how long it is, I'm going to publish as a set of 2 videos with a break in the middle. Thank you for watching. Thank you all of you who support me through Buy Me a Coffee, and have an amazing day. Bye bye.